So I was testing these Oboz Sawtooth II hiking shoes. I wore them for 100 miles, hiked in them for 100 miles, and took them off and put my Altra Lone Peaks back on. And it was a world of difference. And instead of doing a review of this shoe, which is a very good shoe, I saw some PCT people wearing it last year, and I have a friend who wears these, loves them. I thought what I would do is answer a question that I get asked fairly often is, what's the difference between hiking shoes and trail running shoes for hiking? Now, before I get into this, let me just preface it with the line between a hiking shoe and a trail runner is blurry. And even among the world of trail runners, there's a lot of different variations. I'm going to use this Sawtooth II. I'll put a link for this under the video so you can check it out. I'm going to use this shoe and the Altra Lone Peak 6, which is probably the most popular hiking shoe or trail runner for hikers, I think, out there these days. And we'll compare those two. But again, the Altra Lone Peak 6 is not like every other trail runner. They're all a little bit different, but I'll put the links down there. I can definitely recommend this Altra. I use this all the time and it's great. But let's talk about the differences, because maybe the hiking shoe is a better move for you. First off, let's talk about the weight. The weight of this hiking shoe, which is fairly typical, is just under 2 pounds per pair. This is just a little over 1 pound per pair. And you can definitely feel the difference when you're out hiking. And what I was thinking about was, if this is, let's just say this hiking shoe is roughly double, in general, double what the trail runner would be, a light trail runner. Essentially, you're lifting twice the amount of weight every time you're going out on a hike. So if you're, like, the average cadence for a hiker is about 80 steps per minute. So that's 40 times you're lifting each shoe. And if you're lifting a 2 pound shoe 40 times a minute, that's 80 pounds of lifting. And then this is 40 pounds of lifting. And that's for a minute, right? And then if you take that over whatever, an hour, it all adds up. I mean, that's a difference of thousands of pounds potentially that you're lifting every time you lift your foot with a hiking shoe versus a trail runner. So trail runners tend to be lighter. Now, the price you pay for that is in durability. Trail runners last, you'd be lucky maybe to get between 300 to 500 miles with them, maybe a little bit more you could eke out. But with a hiking shoe, you can get many more, probably about double that. So twice the weight, twice the durability, generally 800,000 miles maybe in a pinch you can get out of these things before they start falling apart. So that's the price you pay. If you just want the most comfortable thing, the trail runner is going to be your better move. If you want something a little bit more durable, this hiking shoe will be a better move. Now, the other major difference is the fit, and I could really tell this when I took these off. I did 100 miles in these Sawtooths, and then I went back to the Lone Peak, and it felt like night and day. And the first thing that came to my mind is, like, when you put your foot in a hiking shoe, which is kind of like a shoe version of a hiking boot, a little more lightweight, but when you put your foot into a hiking shoe, your foot goes into the shoe. When you step into a trail runner like this Lone Peak 6, the shoe adapts to your foot almost like a sock. It's night and day. So when you're in the shoe, it's like you're living in almost like a cast, right? Whereas this has less protection, but it's like a sock, and it fits your foot much better. What that effectively means on the trail is that because this is a stronger shoe, you can see it's really hard to bend the sole. It's really stiff, it's really tough, and you can even see I hiked 100 miles in these. These look fairly new. They don't look bad at all. They've barely worn out. So they're much tougher. They offer much more protection on the trail. And it is great when you're on a really rocky trail, or when you're off trail, or on some kind of really gnarly situations where you want a lot of grip, a lot of protection. The hiking shoe definitely wins in that battle. But when you're on groomed trails, so when I say groomed, I just mean like a trail that's not walking over roots or big rocks, this feels much better. It's a lot more pliable. The upper is pliable, so it adapts to your foot. Your foot, if you step down on your foot, you'll see that your foot doesn't stay the same shape. It kind of splays out a little bit when you put pressure on your foot bones. It'll splay out. When you get a shoe like this Lone Peak 6, which is pretty wide up in the toe box and just snug enough, it essentially lets your foot move, expand and contract, and expand and contract as you step. Whereas in this thing, nothing's going to expand or contract on there. Your foot is basically going up against the edges, or it's not up against the edges. And that's okay. Obviously, it needs to be sized correctly to feel good, but it definitely makes a trail runner feel much more comfortable than being in the hiking shoe. So those are the two big differentiators that I found after hiking many miles with both of these. I would say that if you're on the fence, if you want a hiking boot feel without all of the weight, a hiking shoe is a great option. You're going to get a ton of miles out of it. You can kind of wear this anywhere, any terrain. You're going to be great. It can bomb through anything. The treads are great on these. There's two models that I think are really good now. There's this one, the Oboz Sawtooth, and there's the Merrell Moab 2. I have a full gear page on my website. I'll put a link to that under the video, where I have my latest and greatest. I keep it updated all the time, and I'm always trying new footwear. So those two are great hiking shoe options. On the other hand, I'd say if you want the most comfortable experience out on the trail, getting something like this Altra Lone Peak 6 is a great buy. I love these. I wear these all the time, and getting these back on after wearing these for 100 miles, it was refreshing. I remember somebody left a comment on an earlier video about these shoes. They said, I wear these at home like slippers. They're that comfortable, but they do give you protection on the trail. There's maybe 1 out of 100 times when I'm like, I wish I had a different shoe on, and those are in extreme conditions. The tread, it's not bad by any means, but it could be a little bit better, and maybe they'll improve that in the next model. But overall, I think something like the Lone Peak 6 will do you well. You just have to be prepared to change it every like 400 to 500 miles. It'll start to wear out, and these probably have 350 on them already. You can see they're a little tired, the treads get a little worn, but they're still decent shape. So anyway, guys, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you liked it, if you give me a thumbs up, I appreciate it. And again, just go to my gear page where I have everything, the latest and greatest that I'm using. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment on YouTube, and I will do my best to answer it. All right, guys, I'll see you out on the trails.